Hey everyone, I'm B-Boy, the man behind the microphone. I'm not going to keep this intro super long because the video is already long. I just wanted to point out a couple of things before we start. This is not like a super manicured, well-edited video like you might expect from some of the bigger content creators. I'm just a guy that likes Bladesworn a lot and has spent a little bit too much time playing the build. So yeah, this is just going to be kind of like a long just teaching session where I'm kind of winging it. I didn't really prepare beforehand. Came about because I had an open offer for my static mates to, if they ever wanted to learn Bladesworn or get some tips on the class, get a coaching session. I just left an open invite to everybody because I like to teach and I like the class. And so it came about in this unexpected way where my friend had a friend in another static who wanted to learn Bladesworn. And so I said, why not? And so that's how we got here. I could not have expected it to go as well as it did. Grover is a champion. Apparently it has some FF14 rating experience, so that's going to explain why the number went from the first number you see to the second number you see in one night. But yeah. Anyway, I'll leave it there. I'll catch you guys on the other side. Any questions, leave them in the comment. Like and subscribe. All that good stuff.
Give or take, he also might not be full ascended. He probably has some exotic, so
yeah. So
it's mostly exotic armor side. I did some tinkering.
Yes.
With the right side trinkets, just to make sure I had enough precision.
Yeah. So if you have 75% crit chance, that's what we're really looking for. It is despair to hit a non-crit Dragon Slash. You will feel like garbage and you will want to uninstall the game. Okay, and so then the other question to ask is, do you have any experience whatsoever playing the build? Like even a little bit?
I've spent maybe about 15 to 20 minutes the other day just reading up a little bit of a guide and then just familiarizing myself with the buttons, so I'd basically say almost no experience.
Okay, understood. So the first thing to talk about is what the overall goal of the build is when you're playing it, and that's just to stack up as many modifiers as possible to make your Dragon Slashes hit as hard as possible. So on the Bladesworn line, that's going to be guns and sorry, let me do this in party chat. Does party chat appear there? Yes, it does. That's gonna be Guns and Glory, which you basically get for free because you're doing a bunch of explosions over the course of the rotation. That's gonna come from Fierce as Fire, which is the second or like the middle trait. And that basically increases your damage every time you use an ammo skill. And so that should never be dropping below the max of 10 stacks throughout the rotation, as long as you're doing stuff properly. And then for the normal Bladesworn stuff, you get this for free. Warrior's Cunning is like actually kind of a sneaky thing. You do a lot more damage for when the boss is above 80% HP. So the beginnings of every fight, you're going to feel like a god, and then you're going to sort of taper off as the fight continues on. It also helps with barrier, like for example, Ceres normal mode. If he gets some orbs in, that'll give him some barrier, and then you're going to do a little bit of extra damage. But in general, like, you just want to keep in mind that just because you start off really strong, that might not necessarily mean that you're playing like completely optimally, because you have that damage bonus over everyone else in your squad. Berserker's Power. This is low-key the hardest one to keep up in fights. When you're doing the rotation normally, you should always have Berserker's Power up. However, in real fights, there are going to be invulnerable phases. There are going to be situations where maybe you're waiting on your Dragon Slash for a significant period of time. And in that case, you could drop Berserker's Power. There is a bug in the game that's beneficial. If you whiff DT3, so the long range one, while you're in combat, even if it hits nothing, you will still get your stacks of Berserker's Power. However,
okay.
the
so
other
just a
one,
downtime upkeep thing.
correct. But for the other ones, that does not happen. You have to hit the target in order to get Berserker's Power. So that's just something to keep in mind. It is a big damage increase, and you do feel it whenever you're starting a new phase, that first Dragon Slash just hits more wet noodly. And then the other one is Peak Performance, and that's what we have Mending on the bar. You don't use it outside of the opener. Depending on the fight, you might get more chances to use it as you sort of restart your rotation and stuff. It's not the craziest thing in the world. You definitely want to swap the Defiant Stance when the fight calls for it. If there is a mechanic that is going to cause you some downtime otherwise, Defiant Stance is really good. So the fights that you want to think about it on are, for example, Anka and Anka CM, the suction moves, and all of her hallucination mechanics are hard nullified by Defiant Stance. So if you cast it at the right time, you can basically ignore the mechanic completely for 5 seconds, get a dragon trigger off that you maybe couldn't do, and you would just need to be like AFKing away from the boss, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
OLC.
In the case of if you swap to Defiant Stance, would you just take out Peak Performance and maybe use Brave Stride?
No, you deal increased strike damage no matter what with Peak Performance.
Oh, that damage increases always. Okay.
Yeah, and then you also get that effect when you use a physical skill. So it's like on top of it. Yeah. A quick note about the precast, by the way. So this is by far like the biggest self-inflicted wound that people put on themselves when they play Bladesworn, and then they like cry about it on the golem and stuff. This 2-4-5 2-5 thing that you do before you fight the golem, you don't ever need to do that. If you think about the opener, and so we'll talk about this now, I guess. Are you looking at my screen?
Yeah, I'm watching.
Okay, wait, so let me actually give myself the boons real quick. Solution Aegis. So you wanted to go for just the 10 boons here as Bladesworn because you have Destruction of the Empowered. Destruction of the Empowered is the one when they have boons. Sorry, oops. So Empowered is this middle minor trait here. And you get more damage for every boon on you. So this does matter a little bit in some comps. You might do less damage or more damage depending on how many unique boons you have on yourself. But just so that you can have consistency on like the benchmark and stuff, you just go for 10. And for the golem, condies don't matter. So you can just do all condies when you're summoning the golem. So when you do the opener here, right? So the way I like to do it, you don't have to do it like this. You can start with the heal skill, but I like to do cartridges, tactical reload, and then the heal skill into the second cast of cartridges. When you do that, you already have 5 stacks of Fierce's Fire. You get 2 from cartridges, and you get 3 from the flow stabilizers that you're casting over the course of that opener. And then when you do Pistol 5, you add another 5. And so you're already at 10 stacks once you do that first Pistol 5. So the only thing that the opener with the Gunsaber does is that it makes that first Pistol 5 a tiny bit more potent. That's it. For the entire rotation. So unless you are literally grinding for 99%, 100% benchmark on the log, it's not really worth going for all the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And on real fights, it's definitely not worth delaying like your ready check or anything to do it. People like, I haven't had it happen to me in a while, but if you're egregious about it, people will whisper you or kick you. If you waste people's time with this. Another thing is that if you do it, Cyclone Trigger has a range component. So if you're close enough to the boss, you can start it just by being close enough and pressing it. So you've got to be careful. But yeah, okay. So with all of those modifiers that I talked about, most of them are passive. Peak Performance is it, but again, that only comes up in the opener. And then the other one that's not passive is Overcharge Cartridges. And its upgraded version, Supercharged Cartridges. You are basically trying to, over the course of the rotation, line up your cartridges usages so that whenever you use Dragonspike Mine, which resets Dragon Trigger, you have supercharged cartridges up. And then whenever you don't have Dragonspike Mine, your single dragon trigger is going to have just the normal overcharged cartridges. So you're basically getting more value for your supercharged by hitting 2 dragon slashes while you're supercharged, and then only 1 dragon slash while you're overcharged. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's what the rotation flow is all about. That's where the loop comes from. What people talk a lot about the Bladesworn rotation being really hard or really, really difficult. Kind of getting into their own heads a little bit, especially nowadays, now that we have supercharged, the way the rotation actually flows. I'm going to actually go just do a dry run here so that you can watch what it looks like. I want you to look at how many buttons I'm holding and I'm not mashing. You can see all my keyboard overlay stuff, right? Like above here, over here. So you can see when I'm holding buttons versus when I'm mashing buttons. It only happens like twice or 3 times in the rotation that I'm super mashing a button. Every other time, you're just able to hold, and it's not an issue. Let me also use this here. You see what I'm talking about? I'm not mashing any button anywhere. I'm just holding stuff down, and that makes it really nice on the hands, and it also makes it just a matter of internalizing the timings. You shouldn't pistol 4 there. That was a mistake. So you're gonna have to cancel this earlier. And so you're waiting for a lot of cast times, but as long as you're patient, it shouldn't be a problem. Watch out for the low flow. Just hold down the 1 button. Should have pistol or Gunsaber forward. It's fine. 3, hit that. And it might not die here because I forgot that extra Gunsaber forward. Yeah. Anyways, 45k. That's with the food and stuff. The important bit is you should basically always be holding down your buttons and letting, like, almost reacting to the sound cues or the animations of your character as you swap to the next one. It's never going to be a situation where you can't see what's going on and you're kind of having to go it blind. You can just be looking either at your skill bar or at your character's animations or listening, and then you can just swap to the next one. That make sense? Okay. I said not to worry about it, but if you do want to do the Gunsaber precast at the start, so that'll be the first thing I mentioned. We'll go in order here. You don't want to use both of your casts of Cyclone Trigger or Artillery Slash. So basically the way I like to do it is 2, 4, 5, and then 2, 5. And then you're good enough. And I do that parallel to the boss. So if the boss is in the Golem's position, I'll just make sure that I'm over 600 range away so that my Cyclone Trigger doesn't spawn projectiles. And then you're basically good to go to just walk in. Yeah, 2, 4, 5, 2, 5. And you can just buffer them into each other just like that, just holding them down. And that'll work. Okay. Then, for the opener, it's going to be the way I do it. And yeah, or if you type in as you go, it's going to be Flow Stabilizer is instant cast. So you can be casting it during every single one of the big 3 that are here. So I do cartridges, then tactical reload, then mending, and then a final cast of cartridges.
Okay.
So I'm just pressing Flow Stabilizer whenever it comes off a cooldown in that sequence. If you want to try and like organize it so that your Flow Stabilizer casts are easy on the fingers, because you can kind of get like tangled up if you're trying to do like 3 casts at once or something like that. You can also do mending first. I don't know if you know anything about how skill priority works in Guild Wars 2, but heal skills with very few exceptions, have the highest priority in the game. So if I'm casting cartridges and I press my heal skill, it gets canceled. If I press tactical reload and I press my heal skill, it gets canceled. So you want to avoid casting your heal skill before the other things are done. If that makes sense.
Okay.
All right. But because I have the cartridges timing like down to a science, like I have that completely internalized, it's very rare that I cancel this. But yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. When you're doing the opener, make sure that you don't cancel any of the cartridges or tactical reload casts with mending. All right. Yeah. Cartridges, then tactical reload. And then as long as you're not casting mending early, you can press this and then queue up tactical reload. So you press F and then immediately press, in my case, middle mouse. Right? Cartridges, tactical reload immediately. The cast will go off in sequence. So that's one of the keys to the Bladesworn rotation, is sort of knowing how to chain things into each other smoothly. Because most things don't cancel other things.
Yeah, that's definitely the one thing that I wasn't quite sure, because I kept canceling the half-second cast.
Yeah.
At least with
Cartridges is the biggest
overcharged
offender.
cartridges.
Yeah. Cartridges you need to get a feel for, because if you cancel it, yeah, the rotation feels like garbage. Absolutely. 100%. But once you have it down, like, you're just moving on to the next thing. No issues whatsoever. You're not. Okay, this is actually going to show.
So his self bench before this was 27k.
Okay.
Goal was beyond that.
That was with no consumables.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I can do this. Wait, so I'm going to do that. Wait, does it drop? It does. And then I can also mail some of these. No, I don't want to destroy them. I want to.
The stupid windows.
Yeah. There.
Thank you.
Yeah, Bladesworn doesn't get any precision whatsoever from any of its traits, unlike Spellbreaker, and I think Berserker also gets precision as well. So that's why the gearing is such that we need to get to... that's why we use Accuracy Sigil, just because you need all of the crit chance that you can get.
Yeah, especially with one big button, it always feels bad to not hit crit.
Correct. Yeah. All right. So you can feel free to go whenever, and I will watch.
All right. Oh, I'm just... Wait, I
Yeah, feel free to go ahead
completely
and
screwed that up. Yeah.
So you want to use all three of your...
Yeah,
Low
it's just I didn't hit
sablators.
the third flow. Yeah.
Yep. And then you also want to start on pistol, and you can do a pistol 5 at the start there. You want to also reset the...
Oh, before you even do the trigger?
Yep. You also want to reset the golem whenever. If you press F2 now, you can get rid of a lot of your flow for free. So whenever you reset it, you go into Dragon Trigger. So you get rid of the golem, do Dragon Trigger, and then now your flow is basically gone. And then you just wait for your Fierce's Fire stacks on your bar to tick out, and then you're good to start again.
Mhm.
Yep. So yep, feel free to go.
Yeah, I keep canceling the charge, which is
Yep.
definitely not helping.
And so that's what happens when tactical reload ends up not, like, when it ends up falling back. The problem is not just that you lose the increased speed on your Dragon Trigger with the tactical reload, but you need constant tactical reloads in order to get flow stabilizer up. So the main thing, let me go back to my thing now real quick. The main thing I was noticing that you were doing is that you actually want to use your cartridges deliberately throughout the rotation. I'll show you what it looks like. So I'm just going to do the opener real quick. So we start off with Supercharge. We're only at 2 now after doing all of that stuff. And then this is going to get rid of cartridges. That Gunsaber 3 is going to get rid of cartridges. And now you wait until Dragon Trigger is back up to use your next set. Now you see we have all of this time on it while we're on pistol. And then pressing it there gets us back to Supercharged.
Okay.
So
that way you can just keep holding the buff.
Right. So after the opener, you're going to be fresh out of cartridges, and that's going to be the case every time you end up on Gunsaber. You're just going to be there are going to be no cartridges on your bar whatsoever. So all you have to do is cycle through your buttons here. Sometimes, depending on the fight, you're just not going to be doing anything, or like you're going to have less options in Gunsaber or whatever. All you need to do is when you are ready to Dragon Trigger out of Gunsaber, that's when you cast cartridges. And then you're going to have a fresh set going into pistol. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think the other problem I had is I kept trying to assume that was instant going into Gunsaber, so I'd try and hit them too close to each other and just cancel it.
So feel free to just hold F. It's not going to be a problem because there is a cooldown before you're able to do Supercharge. In the past with when cartridges had the blow up instead, what was it called? Detonate cartridges. That was a problem where you could blow up your cartridges accidentally. That's not going to happen. So just hold your cartridges key down while you're using them so that you like sort of slow yourself down.
Do you, in the case of that situation there where I had tactical reload come up between the mine, you want to prioritize getting the ammo reload there?
Yep, so this is how this works. Okay, so...
And I don't know if that timing is like because I'm delaying things or if it's just sometimes it happens.
That's exactly how it works out. On other Bladesworn like iterations in the past, there was like memes where during your opener you wanted to delay your tactical reload so that it lined up with your rotation. That doesn't happen here at all. Things line up properly with tactical reload just by mashing it, basically, throughout the rotation. So let me show you what that situation you're talking about looks like. So we go through the opener here. We're going to run out of cartridges once we do Gunsaber 3 here, and then we just go through this. And then we use cartridges. 4, 5. Then right before it comes up, we use that again. You're going to do the first slash, reload, then mine. And then you'll still be in range to get the second one off.
Okay.
So you do the first slash out of pistol. You do the first slash. Then you tactical reload, wait for it to go off, then you use Dragonspike mine. And if you time, so I won't get too deep into this because this is like the more complicated part of the rotation. How to actually line up Peitha so that you're not wasting your Dragon Trigger 5, your flicker step usages. That's like the next step once you've actually got the rotation down. But you can do some stuff to make the if you actually look, I'm just gonna mention it explicitly here. Wait, let me actually make sure that I cast it in the middle of what I want here. Sorry. Why am I doing that? That's not what I want. Reset that. So it's like this. You're in the pistol, then you go in here. If you cast Peitha late and then do all of that properly, it's not going to go away before you get the second slash off. So that's the next step to Bladesworn. We're not going to get there yet, but Peitha also needs to be somewhat timed in order to not waste your damage and make it like not have it for some of the dragon flashes. Okay, so just to point out, your Gunsaber is perfect, by the way. Your Gunsaber is basically fine. What you're doing in Gunsaber, you can do 4-3-2, and then auto attack, and then 2-4. Or you can also do 4-3-2, 4, and then ignore the 5 that was there, and then finish off with 2 before you use your cartridges. Both of those are fine. I will point out, do you see how Cyclone Trigger has the melee damage tag at the top versus the range damage at the top? So you want to be close to the boss whenever you do Cyclone Trigger. So that is the situation. It happens after the exact tactical reload situation that we were talking about. So when you're actually on pistol, right? And you do this like this, look at where I am compared to the boss. Do you see I'm not in melee range? So you want to do 3 first, then do 4. So that you're getting that full melee damage, right? But otherwise, if you are not using that tactical reload like right before mine, like in that intermediate zone, so when it's just something like this where it's a double slash, and then you're going to end up flicker stepping back in, well then I'm in melee range anyway, so then I can just cast Gunsaber 4 immediately. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But yeah, Gunsaber is fine. Whenever you go into pistol, right, the first time you're gonna cast pistol 4 immediately. Your goal should be, I want to use pistol 5 as soon as possible with 6 charges. And it will almost always have 6 charges, except at the start of your rotation. So in that case, the first time around, so I'm just gonna start the rotation from the beginning. We have 6 charges there, use it. Then you go through Gunsaber. Then we do our second Dragon Slash. And then here, do you see how it only has 3 or 4 in this case? Yeah. So that's why you want to use pistol 4 there and then use 5. And then you're going from there. Does that make sense? But for all of the other times in the rotation, you will have all 6 charges back up whenever you're swapping back to pistol. So you don't have to worry about it past that point. And to be honest, if I'm being really, really real with you, if it reduces your cognitive load at all, you actually don't need to do the pistol 4 with the 4 charges either. Like, I oftentimes will just brain fart and just not ever cast pistol 4, and it's not a huge DPS decrease either, because you are kind of making up for it by getting the extra auto attack finisher whenever you're going through your pistol set. So it's still more damage to go for those 6 charges by doing Gunstinger, but it's not like crazy if you forget to do it. And it makes it simpler because you always just ignore pistol 4 and you just immediately pistol 5 once you press F1. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's where that comes in. So your Gunsaber rotation is totally fine. So keep doing that the way you're doing it. And then whenever you swap the pistol, just go for the pistol 5 immediately. Then sword 3, and then just auto attacks from there. If you notice, both on Gunsaber and on sword, I have auto attack disabled. I actually have it off on sword as well. And the reason why I have it off on sword as well is because I can be very deliberate when I want to stop so that I can get the perfect cartridges cast.
Okay. So the auto could just overtake priority there and cancel the
right.
cartridge?
Yeah. If you're just holding this down and you have it on auto attack, yeah, like you might like miss your mash window and you might cause problems. So instead, I have it off, and so then whenever I want 1, 2, I just stop, and then that's it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. I'm done, and I don't have to think about it. Right, I'm actually watching the window here. Sword 3 has a very obvious portrait. It's the one with the leg in it, or the foot in it, rather. So the reason why that's relevant is because if you use pistol 4, so if you use pistol 4, you want to stop your last auto attack chain early. You don't want to do the finisher, because you will run out of cartridges if you cast the finisher of your third auto attack chain. And we don't want to run out of cartridges. We want to cast it so that we get the supercharge for the rest of it. So if I actually go over here, so I'm just gonna do this part of it. So this is you finish all of your Gunsaber, like, faffing around, right? And so then you're doing this here. You go into pistol. Sword 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And then you would press cartridges there, but I didn't cast Gunstinger, pistol 4. So I actually could have done the finisher there. And that's how it's going to be every time, unless you cast pistol 4. So if I do that again, real quick. So you would be in Gunsaber. Then you cast this. You're going in here, hitting that. Pistol 5, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And do you see how I press that and immediately Dragon Trigger is up at the end of that?
Yeah.
So you can kind of use your Dragon Trigger as your guide point. That should be your guide for when you stop auto-attacking and you start thinking about your cartridges, if that makes sense. So you want to give yourself enough lead time to where it's going to be a smooth transition into Dragon Trigger without wasting, like, time, right? You don't want to leave Dragon Trigger just sitting there for too long. You want to use it as soon as possible. So, putting it all together here. We're close, so we can Gunsaber 4 to start with. I'm going to pistol 4 here, and because I pistoled forward, we need to stop this early. 1, 2, and do you see how I smoothly transition into the Dragon Trigger there instead of going over? And so there, now I'm far from the boss, so I'm going to use Gunsaber 3 first, and then go in. Here, all of the pistol charges are up, so now I can do 3 full auto attack chains. Immediately press that, and then go into that. And here, I'm going to be able to teleport on top of the boss, so... Here, you want to use Tactical Reload. It'll be up right at the start of this Gunsaber. You want to use it first, before you do anything with the Gunsaber. And then it'll be up for that one there. And then again, pistol 5 first, so you can do 3 full auto attack chains. And then slip right back into Dragon Trigger. So it should be smooth. Everything should be smooth. The only time there's any gap in the rotation is whenever you're finishing your Gunsaber part. Whenever you finish the Gunsaber part of the rotation, there's going to be that small window. If I do it here like this, where you're casting cartridges, but you can't do anything else. You're just waiting on that Dragon Trigger cooldown. So like here, I'm just waiting. Like I'm waiting that half a second because there's nothing else that you can do. You can't fit a auto attack or anything in there, right? So you're just waiting. That's the only gap. Every other time, you should be smoothly going into something else throughout the rotation.
Okay. And I think that answers the question I was going to follow up with, is that if you tactical reload there during that part of the Gunsaber rotation, do you have to drop anything?
Oh,
but since
so
it's a half-second cast, it kind of fits perfectly into that slot anyway.
Yeah, so the situation where that comes up is late. So it's going to be a situation where I actually should just go through the rotation. I'll just point it out to you because it's just easier that way. So if I go through the entire rotation here, there is a point on the Golem where your tactical reload will be delayed and you do it at the end of your Gunsaber. So there, I'm just waiting. And then here, 4, 5. So we cut the last auto attack chain short. 1, 2, then press that. Far away, so I Gunsaber 3. Full ammo, so now I do 3 full auto attack chains. Slide into Dragon Trigger. Cast that tactical reload immediately because it was off cooldown. Same deal, 3 full auto attack chains. Slide into Dragon Trigger. Here you can use Flicker Step either on the first one or the second one. Now here, I'm going to use Tactical Reload there, then Cartridges, then Gunsaber 4.
Mhm.
So that's the situation where you have less ammo on your stuff because tactical reload is still not off of cooldown yet. So you would go through your Gunsaber stuff as normal. There will be a Gunsaber 2, then tactical reload will be off cooldown. You immediately use it, cartridges, Gunsaber 4, and then go on into the Dragon Trigger. That is tight, but you also don't need to be perfect at the timing. You just need to make sure that you don't cancel anything. So you do the tactical reload properly, you do the cartridges properly, and then you don't cancel the Gunsaber 4. Because it is actually kind of easy to do this, then that, and then that, but I canceled it with the Dragon Trigger, and the good Cyclone Trigger didn't actually come out. So you just want to be on the lookout for that. And then that's the last tactical reload in the rotation. Or on the golem rotation anyways. So that's where that will come in. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you basically have the one between the Dragon Step Mine, and then you have the Blade one, and that's kind of really the only two variations you should see.
So you have the one in between the Dragonspike Mine. You have one at the start of Gunsaber, and then your last one will be the one at the end of Gunsaber.
Okay, right.
And then this doesn't come up on the golem, but the way I like to do it is that if the phase on the boss continues on beyond that, there will be a time where tactical reload comes up while you're on pistol, right? You see how it's kind of getting offset more and more? It'll be on pistol. I just like using it once I swap to pistol. Like, I don't like to overthink it usually. So it'll be on pistol. I just use it immediately. And so then it'll basically be as if you're back on the opener, right? So you do pistol, and then it'll be the fast one, then the slow one, just as it is at the start of the rotation. And then you're basically reset at that point. And you can think about the same tactical reload timings that you were doing throughout the golem.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that would come up if you were to do like a 10 million golem or something like that, and then you would just reset from there. I don't know what is the most damage, the timing for tactical reloads past the golem rotation, but that just makes most sense to me in order to make the rotation easy to understand.
Yeah, I guess in longer phases at that point, you just stick to the fundamentals of what makes it flow better.
Yep. That's how I like to think about it. Yep. Okay, cool. I've been yapping for a while. Let's see you play the game. So you want to make sure you're looking for the damage, like, to appear from Dragon Slash before you're pressing F1. I never, for specifically that part there where you're stowing your Gunsaber, I never go by feeling. I always react to the damage prompt because, yes, it feels terrible to F1 early. And it will happen unless you're reacting. Good? Perfect. Now make sure you react to the damage prompt here. Good. Perfect. Awesome. That was exactly right. Look at that. The number went up. Okay.
I still think I canceled like two.
Yes, you did.
Overload, yeah.
You're at 33k with canceling a bunch of your Dragon Slashes. Like, things will get better. All right. So
I mean, he's already 7k up from where he was.
Yep. That was legitimately sick. You basically understand exactly everything I said. It's mostly speed at that point, and then like the Peitha stuff, but that's not super important. As long as you are, first off, doing what you were doing with the auto attack chains, where you're not as fast as me, so you're gonna cut off your auto attack chains on sword earlier to make sure that you're getting the supercharged cartridges. You were doing that flawlessly. That's exactly right. You're looking at the dragon trigger timer instead of trying to fully follow the, 3 sword auto attack chains. I got to do 3 auto attack chains. No, you're doing it based on the timer of dragon trigger and the cartridges. That's right.
Yeah, I think the hardest thing for me is, since I play more of 14 or Final Fantasy 14, I don't think holding a button works there. So that's kind of a new concept to me.
It's new for most Guild Wars 2 players, if I'm being honest. The fact that you can hold out basically everything in this rotation is kind of novel. I think, anyways. I'm not like super familiar with all sorts of builds. Like, I don't really play that many DPS builds, but I don't think there's any other build in the game that is 95% holding down buttons and being able to just chain stuff like that into each other completely seamlessly. The ratio is probably more like 75%, 25% or something like that. But here on Bladesworn, almost everything chains into each other, besides Flow Stabilizer, which you're just kind of using off cooldown, like it's its own thing, right? And then...
Yeah, and it ends up being instant, so it's not really any issue.
Yep, and then your F1, I guess, when you're stowing Gunsaber to go into pistol, that's not necessarily a hold situation. Yeah, for the most part, you're just holding stuff. Yep.
Yeah, I just hate like thinking ahead and like thinking it would queue a certain way, and it just doesn't work that way.
Yep. So I will point out one situation that's a little bit tough for the holding. That's your Gunsaber auto attack. The Gunsaber auto attack queues really early, so you want to let go of your button earlier than you think, because it's gonna sometimes do that extra thing. So when you're on Gunsaber, you do 4, 3, 2, 4, 1, 2. I'm already letting go of it. You see, I'm letting go of it basically as the
Before
second
it even
hit
flips to the last one.
Yeah, because it will go through and it will queue early. So I should have pointed that out, but yeah, and it kind of feels bad to get that extra auto hit when you don't want it. I guess we can start to overcomplicate it. Your number's already good. We can start talking about Relic of Peitha. So if you actually look at the Peitha effect, it has a duration of 4 seconds. Essentially, for that 4 seconds, you are not able to apply another instance of the Peitha effect. So if you use Flicker Step, like for example, I'll show you what it looks like. Just like this, right? So at the very start of the rotation, because you have the fast Dragon Slash, if you do this and then immediately press it again, you're not getting an extra proc of Peitha. It's just that 4 seconds is still ticking down from the first Flicker Step that you did. So you want to cast Flicker Step in such a way where you're refreshing Peitha. And the way you do that is with this simple mnemonic. In the opener, fast. And then slow. So you're literally going based on the amount of charges on like the bar up top here. So for the first set, so when you've got tactical reload on that first thing, you want to go fast. And then on the second one, you want to go slow. I'm basically going to just point that out. That's all I'm going to talk about. I'm going to go through the rotation, fast, and watch the sword above its head so you can see that I'm refreshing it. And then slow. Whenever it's the single one, you don't have to worry. You just go immediately. Or you can delay it so that you get longer time while you're in pistol. Now here, this is what I mentioned. If you do it at the very end, you can get it all in one without having to do a second cast. Here again, I'm going to delay it going into pistol. so that I get it for as long as I can while I'm on this weapon set. And then here, now for this one, we're going to go fast. And then we're going to go slow. And you see how I'm refreshing it every time, and now it's up again.
Mm-hmm.
Here, this one goes fast, so you can just go ahead and do it fast as well. This one here, again, you only have a single one, so if we had 2 up, you would go fast and then you would go slow. So basically always, if you are using Dragonspike Mine, you want to go fast and then you want to go slow. Unless it's the one where tactical reload is in the middle. In which case, you're going to try and do it all in one by going for the slow one in the middle. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. You just tie it based on which ones you actually get the double speed on.
Mm-hmm. So your goal, you can go ahead and try again. I want you to try your best to get Peitha to proc properly and try not to cancel any Dragon Slashes. And then slow. Good. Here, yeah, you want to be in front of it so that you're not canceling stuff needlessly. Good. So there, you don't need to cast cartridges again.
Yeah, I ended up just hitting the wrong button there.
Oh, fair enough. All right. That goes there. Back. Good. Yeah, for the second one, you're not gonna have Peitha. It's whatever. Cancelled one. Good. So, like, now, I would use tactical reload there. Yeah, because it's up. Like, whatever. Still use that with that timing. Yep. This would be fast and then slow. Because you have the tactical reload up on the first slash. Yeah, okay. Cool. What was I noticing there? Yeah, I think it was just, like, some of the dragon slashes you were letting out early. It's
just like at the 1 or 2 off or something, because
right.
I was trying to anticipate too much.
Yeah, it's almost always better to go late than go early. Because you're doing the max damage, you're just wasting a little bit of extra time doing it. That makes sense, right? And so the cartridge timing, you can always adapt it, right? As you are doing. You are already doing it right now, where you are sometimes not going for the extra Gunsaber 2, or sometimes not going for an extra sword auto attack chain, because you see that the next dragon trigger is coming up. So the rotation kind of has this built-in, like, oh, hey, I'm behind. Okay, well, I can just drop this. Gunsaber 2 is not that good. The sword auto attack chain is not that crazy. It's not as good as delaying or it's not worth delaying your dragon trigger for these things. So you can just sort of let those go away, like just ignore them, don't do that, and then go into your dragon trigger at the proper time, and that'll be more damage than going for those extra things. I will point out, Gunsaber 4 is very strong. It is actually stronger than, is that true? Agrock? No, it might not be true. Gunsaber 4 doesn't get boosted by cartridges either. but it's very strong. It's super fast, and so this is one that you want to prioritize using. Whenever you're in Gunsaber, it should be 3 and 4, and then everything else is like kind of whatever. Like you don't need to worry about anything besides these two, right? Like these are nice to use. You want to end up using them when you want to go for max damage, but these two are the important ones. 1 and 2, their cast times are long, especially 2, right? Like you can feel it. 2 is a chunky animation. These take a while, and they're not as good damage as these two. So you can drop them to make sure that you're keeping up your dragon triggers with the proper timing. All right, and so in that way, yes, good. Late as hell. Yes, 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 yes. You didn't need to do the extra one there, but that was still good. Yep. Tactical immediately. Good. Screw Gunsaber too. Yep. Nice. Canceled one. That's okay. Then you do that. You forgot your cartridges, though. You always want to use your cartridges after the tactical reload there. Yep, that's fine, though. So this one would actually be the early. You wanted to go fast on that first one.
Oh, and then I just walked forward to it.
Yeah.
Try and get back to melee. Yep.
Yeah, we can reset it. It's fine. Actually, no, you can finish it. I know you want to see the number. I like seeing the number too. Yeah, the first half of that was basically flawless, besides the speed, which will come with time, right? Mm-hmm. The first half of that was basically flawless. You did everything I would expect you to do. Okay, go again. Yeah, you just immediately... You can slash at that point, because while you're out of combat, your flow is draining anyways. So you can just immediately, once it's at 10 charges, you go for it. Yes. Perfect. Good. Yes. Mm-hmm. Reload then cartridges. Fast, good. And then this one, if it comes up, yep, you can. It'll be slow. There you go. think that number is gonna look pretty fucking good. Yeah. Okay, you're yeah, you're
Screenshot that shit.
yeah.
That's exciting. You got a 10k, 11k difference. Boom.
The timings just feel so odd until you, I guess, have examples. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm. You're like, is there anything to actually complain about there? I think the big mistake you made there was that on the section of the rotation where I'm going to actually go through it so that you can see. I'm going to go through it in full.
Mm-hmm.
So on the section of the rotation after this pistol loop that's coming up, where you have that tactical reload in the middle.
Yeah.
Look at the flow stabilizer here. You want to use it immediately as it's coming up there so that you get the full charge on that Dragon Slash, on the first Dragon Slash there.
Oh, okay, yeah. I felt that the thing was a little awkward on getting the flow there, and then I think because of that, I delayed the tactical reload some, and then that kind of caused everything else to delay further, because I know I ended up using the cartridges late, so I was like, what, a second or two behind on just going into the trigger.
Yeah, so the rotation on the Golem is somewhat tight on flow. You don't have to be like perfect with it, but you do want to make sure that you're using flow stabilizer as it comes up. You run into trouble, like for example here you can, I think, on this one. You see, I'm almost going to be out of flow here, unless I cast flow stabilizer and get that little bit of extra. Right, so here, 4, and then I hit that. And then don't worry about the ender. Like, they do some goofy ass ender here at the end to finish off the Golem. You're in exotic, so you're not even going to be able to do that anyway. But like, yeah, you're done. Basically, I don't have much more that I can teach you, to be honest. You've picked up everything instantly. So
Gamer.
Yeah, it's get better gear, and be fast enough to actually fit in all of the inputs that are in the rotation on the website. That's it. You win. GG. And then you just got to learn. Now, that's why I say that Bladesworn is not a crazy rotation. It's not a hard build on that side of things. But because of the fact that you are locked into Dragon Trigger, you can't move. You have to use Flicker Step for any mobility. And because, to be fair, I'm going to reset the Golem and turn it into its normal size. You just reset the settings. On a Golem, average size, hit all of that. I'm going to show you what Dragon Slash's actual range is. See how far I am from the boss?
Yeah.
I could even step a little bit further back and still hit it. See, that was a little bit too far. But 300 range is actually way bigger than normal melee range in this game. By a wide margin. You see, it's still not close enough. But that being right on the edge of things is something that you have to learn, because it matters a lot on boss fights where you need to either stay away because of damage or because of the fact that this Dragonspike mine puts you in a bad way. The second half of Bladesworn, right? You've learned how to do the rotation, you understand the concepts, and in that sense, you're doing really well. But on boss fights, what's going to happen is that sometimes you're going to need to move away quickly, and you need to be able to pilot your character in such a way where I can immediately detarget, turn around, and Gunsaber 5. And have the presence of mind to understand that that's something that I need to do because the boss is about to phase at 75%. Like, for example, on Dagda, Cosmic Observatory, 75%, she phases. You need to detarget, turn around quickly, and Gunsaber 5 away. Or if you get a spread mechanic on any strike mission, right? You should have the ability, if, like, you have someone AFK and not moving, oh, hey, I need to turn around and do that. Or you need to have the presence of mind to be able to instantly Gunsaber or Dragon Trigger 2 and use that for mobility in case you need to get away for some reason. I have a ton of Bladesworn POVs on my channel. I'll actually DM it to you. I have a whole playlist. And you'll see the amount of times that you can actually... Like, my most recent uploads of Decima CM, like, you can... Like, Decima CM is a fight that requires you to move around a lot as a Bladesworn if you don't have portals. And our static, we don't have portals. So you get a lot of value from being able to use your Bladesworn mobility. On some fights, it's not going to matter at all. On some fights, it is extremely relevant because otherwise you might die or you might lose out on a ton of damage because you're not pre-positioning properly. And then that causes other issues because if you look at break step, at the bottom, you see how Gunsaber 5 is an explosion as well? Mm-hmm. So it can fuck with your rotation, and you'll use cartridges that you don't want to use because you use Gunsaber 5 at a bad time. So sometimes you're going to need to use Sword 2 instead, and not use Gunsaber 5, because otherwise you're going to be all out of swords, and you're going to lose a lot of damage on some Dragon Slashes. So that's the second half of the build. Where now you need to learn the fights. You need to have them somewhat memorized, not completely memorized. There's a lot of stuff that you can react to in the game. It's not like Final Fantasy 14, where like if you don't have sections memorized, you just die for being out of position.
Yeah, it's not quite as scripted, I would say.
Yeah. But you do have to have the ability to react and do the right thing once you see that the boss is doing something. So there are situations where, like, there are multiple solutions, right? So if you have Defiance Stance on and Doom is sucking you in, well, of course, you can always use Gunsaber 5, Sword 2, and jump away from him. Or if he's getting towards the end of his suction, well, why don't I just Defiance Stance and do my opener while I'm inside his hitbox? Normally, I would be taking 20,000 damage, but I'm actually getting healed for 20,000 instead. And I'm able to do my full opener while we're going into the start of the next phase. So there's a lot of that all over the place. It's why this build is, I think, peak. I think it's peak, personally.
I love the extra mobility that it has just from being a melee class, that it feels excessive in a way compared to others. Yeah,
and I think the 300 range thing, the 300 range on Dragon Trigger is really low key. A lot of people, or Dragon Trigger 1, sorry, Dragon Slash Force. It's really low key. A lot of people think that you have to be right up on a boss in order to get your Dragon Slash off. You don't. Oh yeah, one more thing. This does come up a lot, and you should be aware of it. Because you're already not at maximum speed or anything like that, there will be situations where you want to turn your character around before you do Dragonspike Mine. Dragonspike Mine will always send your character backwards from where it's facing. Now, normally, that's going to be the boss, right? Your character generally faces the boss as long as you, like, are camera locked, for example. If you lock your camera with your right mouse button, you're facing the boss. So sometimes you're going to want to unlock, press W in order to face your character in that direction. So turn your camera where you want to go, press W to face your character in that direction, and then Dragonspike Mine. That does lose time, but it makes it so that sometimes you're not super far away from the boss where you don't want to be. So if I'm already here, right, after my first Dragon Slash, if I do this, well, then I'm not going to be able to hit it, right? Unless I have Flicker Step, which is not guaranteed at a lot of points in the rotation, right? So this is no good. So instead, if I'm here, I do a Dragon Slash. I turn around, do this. Well, I can hit my second Dragon Slash. Just might be a little bit too far. No, it still hits, right? So that's a situation that will come up a lot. It isn't a time loss during that tactical reload in the middle situation. So here, while you're casting tactical reload, you can turn around for free because you have to wait out that cast time anyways. So there is a strong argument to be made that while you're doing this, you should turn around so that you're close enough for this. And then you can cast the Gunsaber 4 that I mentioned, that you cast it when you're in melee range of the boss. All right. But just pointing that out. Turn around and then cast Dragonspike Mine, and you can stay closer to the boss than if you just kept facing it. Okay. I think that's enough yapping. You understand. You understand the basics, and by the basics, I mean you understand basically everything at this point. It's just a matter of practicing, watching the benchmark video from Evo in order to see exactly what timings he does on stuff. You can follow his Peitha timings on the flicker steps. You can follow his timings on basically everything, and you'll be good to go. But you understand why things are being done the way they are. Why is he casting Gunsaber 3 first? Why is he sometimes casting Gunsaber 4 first? Why is he facing things in that direction and stuff like that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Any questions?
Not at the moment. I think at this point it's just familiarity with like a lot of the skill timings, like you're saying.
Cool.
And then of course, once I get into actual encounters, that's when the real challenge begins.
Wonderful. You want to watch me play the game? If you have time. If you don't have time, or if you want to go to sleep or something, like, it's totally fine. I can also show off if you want, and I can talk about things.
Sure, I can watch.
Okay. I'm gonna put on Night Sigil because I'm gonna try hard. What else? I'm just gonna do that and Brit, and then here we don't need to do anything with the precast. I forgot to put on Mending, but again, it's fun. So just doing the normal opener. I Gunsaber 5s. I'm just gonna Pistol 4, Pistol 5. Okay, and so here we're coming up on the phase, so you just don't use your cooldowns. That's an important thing I didn't mention. You just don't use the rest of your cooldowns. Now we're waiting, and we want to be careful because Overcharged Cartridges does have a pretty lengthy cooldown, and it might not be up when we want it. So the way I'm actually going to do this here is I'm going to ignore the cartridges cast here. I'm just not going to cast cartridges because it won't be up in time for me to get the supercharge later on. So I'm just going to give up on that there. And so then now I'm going to cast cartridges with the proper timing. And the fight's actually done at that point. All right.
So in that case, with the recovery of the cartridges, you're kind of just like sacking a little bit of damage on the last one and the first one going back in just to get it fully resynced back into the normal cycle.
Correct. Yes. Now this next one, I'm assuming we're doing all of IBS 5. So in this case, Fraenir and Whisper are like, they actively anger me. So the problem with Fraenir and Whisper is that they have the transforms. For Fraenir, it's the ice crystals. And then for Whisper of Jormag, it's when he sends you to the Shadow Realm with like your copy. And that causes you to lose the stack of positive flow that you're supposed to be guaranteed whenever you're in combat. So you just have less flow in general. So what you can do to mitigate that is put on To the Limit, which gives you flow, and I'm not sure. No, it just gives you flow, I think. I don't think it gives you positive flow, but it just helps you make up the gap. But I will probably get frozen here. So just keep that in mind. It's kind of embarrassing. Also, oops, I'm losing to my, here it is, Force. There you go. Okay, but I didn't lose too much flow, so we're just gonna go normally for now. I'm just gonna Gunsaber 3 here. Get that little bit of extra damage. We have to wait for the invuln anyways. Okay. And I'm ready to go basically the moment he's out of invuln. block that because sometimes your supports don't give stab. Gotta wait out all this invuln. In this sort of scenario here, I'm just going to continue on with the rotation as normal. So I'm gonna go into the pistol part of the loop and then do the double dragon slash as expected. So I'm just like lowering my cognitive load. There's probably a higher damage way to do that, but I'm just gonna continue with the rotation as I know how to do it, and that's going to lead to good enough results. Okay, so this is gonna be the last dragon slash before Fraenir comes back in. All right, here we're just waiting. We can just do our cartridges at the proper timing. I'm gonna get frozen again. I noticed that. So I'm gonna use to the limit so that I can get my flow back. Unfortunately, I lost cartridges there, so I kind of wasted that slash, but it's fun. And then we maybe get one more off. No, we don't. You gotta be watching the HP. Sometimes you're gonna need to let your dragon slash rip early just so that you actually get some damage off instead of no damage off before a phase or before the boss gets killed. In that scenario, I shouldn't have gone into Dragon Trigger at all. I should have just swapped to Pistol, done Pistol 5, Sword 3, and then some auto attacks, and that would have been more damage than the 5 charge Dragon Slash that I ended up doing. When the boss is that low, you kind of got to make that judgment call, whether it's going to be better to swap immediately or go for the Dragon Trigger. This fight is good for Bladesworn, because you can cleave 2 things. It's very gratifying.
I guess that's one thing concerning Peitha. If you are in a cleave scenario, obviously the Dragon Slash's AoE, so it's not a big deal, but if you have a priority target, is it closest target on the Shadow Step?
So you want to Shadow Step. It does it after the Shadow Step. So you want to Shadow Step to the location that is closer to the target you want to get Peitha. So here, like for example, if I'm here, the Brazier is one boss, and then the Commander is the other boss. I can be in Dragon Trigger and then press 5 where my cursor is, and it will always go on the Commander.
Okay.
Because the ending location is where the Peitha Dagger comes from. Oops, I didn't cast Taco Reload. It's fine. Whatever. Perfect. I actually got that cleave there. We're trying to hit everything here. Here, I'm detargeting just to make sure that my Dragon Slash is aimed in the proper direction. That is a really hot tip. If you don't have action cam, like, you may as well just do things that way. You can, like, manually aim. All right, this is not gonna reach, so I just go for DT2. Go to the other one. That actually hits. See, like it's actually...
It's so far.
Yeah, it's way farther than you think. There, I waited because... Or I was waiting there because I actually had an extra stack of cartridges that I didn't want to deal with. So you want to be... That's the sort of playing the UI component of the class. Sometimes you do need to delay, or sometimes you do need to watch out for that stray stack of cartridges so that it doesn't cause problems. All right, now it's Whisper time, so I want to make sure I have To the Limit on. Most fights don't have that. Matthias is another one, but that's RNG, whether or not you get picked by the sacrifice. But that is one that would also steal your flow. So you want to have To the Limit for that one, probably, just in case. Oh, we're doing Boneskinner. Peek. And this is a fight that shows off one of the other strengths of Bladesworn, which is the fact that you're high HP, high armor. You can face tank a lot of shit that other classes have to deal with to some extent. Of course, like, you will die if you just face tank everything, but you can get away with greeting more on Bladesworn than other classes, even more so if you have Defiant Stance on.
Yeah, that, and also just the ready access to, like, Aegis on Gunsaber 4.
Yes, that is another thing. You are already not doing it. You do not want to spam Trigger Guard in Dragon Trigger. You want to save it on most fights unless it's a Golem boss. We're not doing Whisper, so I can put that on. Here I'm precasting early, and that means that I can get in big time. I think I accidentally did I was on Gunsaber. It's fine. Weakness, unfortunate I got the glancing there, if you saw. Weakness is your biggest weakness on this class. You do have to be aware of it. It will fuck you over. It sucks. I should have saved my Dragon Trigger there for the CC. But I can contribute still. Okay, we didn't CC. Feels NA, man. Didn't get stunned because I had Aegis. We poured out of that. Dodge through that. Make sure that we're keeping up with the boss here. This stomp is gonna almost kill me, but because I'm on this broken, or not broken, but you know what I mean. Like, because it's Bladesworn, I can survive that when other classes would have definitely gone downstate there. I dodged the slam. I actually Aegised it. I was a little too early. Go this way. He's running again, so we want to chase him. He's not too far, so we can just be here. He's gonna jump again. But again, I survived that just fine. You saw how I did my Dragonspike mine through its hitbox by aiming it so that I'm back with the group instead of going further away. This I can contribute to with this. Not that we're gonna get it, but just to keep that in mind. Sometimes you do want to delay it a little bit so that you can help with a CC. Unfortunately, we're just gonna have to wait this out because he's not down yet. Gonna be hands, but we just go to the left. One more run. That does a lot of damage. Weakness. Didn't get punished this time. Okay, and then the boss is dead. Okay, no whisper. That's great. So Febe normal mode is actually a fight that I haven't fully figured out yet to be like actually truly 100% greedy. You're not going to be a log demon like I am, but for the purposes of the log on this encounter, it should be noted that the embodiments during the split phases actually do count for your overall DPS on the encounter. Because you do need to kill 4 of them, right? In order to progress the encounter.
Yeah.
So I don't have a good heuristic for how exactly you should use your cooldowns. Because you do run into this a lot on split phases. If you are actually on the ball, using your mobility properly to get the bosses first and stuff, you run into a problem where your dragon slashes are hitting to a boss with 10 stacks of vulnerability. Because the group hasn't, like, caught up. And that feels kind of bad. I'm not sure whether it's worth it to go earlier in that case or wait for your group or move with your group. I'm going to actually try in this case just staying with the group, not trying to go to the next ad early and see whether that increases my damage compared to the usual. This is also probably the worst fight for the precast in the game because your quickness providers are usually behind you and you might not get quickness until way later on. So that's just something to keep in mind. You will have to wait longer for your cartridges. You should probably be looking at your cast bar and your skill bar just to make sure that you're not canceling anything in this case.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Alright, so... Okay, we got it really early, so that's fine. Someone's downstate already. Oh, they're across the map. We're just gonna forget about them. They lost to gliding. So here, just forgo the auto attacks. Not that important compared to doing the mechanic properly. There I aimed my Dragonspike, so I wasn't going backwards. Alright, our damage is low, which means that we're just gonna see more of the fight. Normally, like, a faster group would already be hitting the CC bar, and you would need to think about your Dragon Slash. So here, I'm just gonna make sure that my Dragon Slash hits the bar. Okay. And so then I'm actually going to use all my cooldowns on this guy. I'm just going to actually just follow the group. I'm just going to make sure that this guy dies. Like this. And so then use my Dragonspike there. And then I'm going to DT2 over this way. I shouldn't have pistol 5 there. It's fine. Just continue with my rotation. This should hit, but yeah, it does. But there, I should have been smarter about my spike. This is the situation I was talking about with the tactical reload, so I'm just going to use that there. And so now we're back to a somewhat regular timing. Our damage is really low. That's fine. Go for the single Peitha here. Cleave down the shadow. That is something that you can do on Bladesworn.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Try and get the dodge. I did. You get extra momentum from the pistol 5, which kind of sucks, but it doesn't matter too much. I'm gonna save a Peitha proc here. It's fine. Alright, use my tactical reload here. You need to use tactical reload anyways because of the flow. You need flow stabilizer as much as possible. Alright, here again, I'm going to go for the slash. I shouldn't have. Mistake. And so, like, here, I can't even really go for Spike because I was going to run out of, or it was just going to use my cartridge stack. So I'm just going to reset. I'm just going to full reset here, and my cartridge cooldown is totally fine. Wall. There, I forgot a pistol 4, but like I said, it's actually not that big a DPS loss, and it lets me do... Oh, I didn't have... Oh, it was barely off. I didn't realize that. Oh, okay, that's kind of sad.
I missed it. What happened? Was it just the cartridges?
My cartridges that I thought was fine coming out of the split phase were just very slightly off cooldown-wise. So I actually didn't get the supercharged proc, and I just had no cartridges from my double Dragon Slash.
Ooh, yeah.
Here, I'm just going to tank this. I had prot, and the boss doesn't have that many stacks. There, I should have used that later. I'm going to use pistol 5 to bring this out. Just giving up some auto attacks. And then I can cleave down my own ad like this. There, I lost some rid up time, but who cares? And we're almost phasing. So my second Dragon Slash we'll CC with. I aimed my Dragonspike in the proper direction. Good CC on the group though. That's big. It's gonna use that, and then finish it off. Here, I shouldn't go for this. No, I should have gone for this. This is correct. And then just hit you, and then maybe the last Gunsaber 4, but no. That was good. That was overall solid, besides the cartridge snafu going into the last main phase. Okay. Yeah, that wasn't bad at all. That might actually be a good log. Let me check that.
That's the one thing that's interesting to me, is it feels you're kind of rigid on CC just because of how much your utilities are locked in.
That is...
And that your only CC is Dragon Slash. However, because it's so big, where you're delaying it feels good. Oh, artillery slash also.
Yep, and they also changed it so it's only 2 stacks of ammo, and you get a big stun on the 2 ammo. So you can save this as well. You should definitely consider saving this depending on the phase. Yeah, the log was decent. It wasn't my best, but that was also a very slow group, so that changes things. Alright. Yeah, I think that's it. I sent you that playlist, so you can feel free and watch any of those. Some of them are with the old rotation, so anything before June 2025 is going to be with the old rotation. But the Dragon Slash fundamentals are definitely going to be the same between every rotation that exists. So, cool. Late Peitha. Good. Now, late. Before 2. That works. Nice. Boom.